former friend, Ross Tucker, who was a member of the 33rd team, Mike Tannenbaum's website, former NFL player. He's got a lot of things going on. Odyssey Sports, CBS Sports, Westwood One, Eagles pregame, and we were reacting to his NFL head coach rankings that Clarence Hill also called out in the Fort Worth Star-Telegram, and we thought that Mike McCarthy was comically disrespected. It was Andy Reid in order. Andy Reid, Bill Belichick, Mike Tomlin, Sean Payton, Nick Sirianni, Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, Brian Daboll, Pete Carroll, Doug Peterson, John Harbaugh, Zach Taylor, Mike Vrabel, Mike McDaniel, Kevin O'Connell, Dan Campbell, Matt LaFleur, Arthur Smith, Ron Rivera, Brandon Staley, and coming off back-to-back 12-5 seasons with a title, Mike McCarthy at 21, Sean McDermott 22.
You know what this is? This is a classic example of Mike took a job with high expectations, and that's it. You get high expectations and you win 12 games, and you're going to get docked for a guy in Arthur Smith who had no expectations and won like 6 games, and he's a god. That's what it is.
We were crushing Ross yesterday.
As he deserves.
He deserves it. He's like, you got my number. Hit me up. And we did. And on the line is Odyssey NFL insider Ross Tucker. Insider calls presented by BetQL. Download the free BetQL app right now and get instant access to the industry's most advanced suite of sports betting tools right at your fingertips. What are you doing, man?
Well, first of all, did you just say that Mike McCarthy had back-to-back 12-win seasons with a title?
No.
What title are you talking about?
Coaching career in Green Bay, he has a title. A title-winning coach.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So you're telling me, you're remembering the one season out of the 13 when he had a top 5 quarterback in Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, that he actually got to the Super Bowl.
You're doing the same with Sean Payton at 4.
Sean Payton.
You're doing the same with Sean Payton at 4.
I think that the Packers teams that he coached had more talent than the Saints teams. I think Favre and Aaron Rodgers were better than Breeze. And also, the Saints went to 2 Super Bowls. I don't care what anybody says about the Rams going with Jared Goff. That Super Bowl appearance was robbed from the Saints. You guys, everybody with a brain knows that the Saints were going to the Super Bowl.
The Vikings.
We're not for the worst call in the history of the NFL playoffs.
So we're giving him that Super Bowl that he didn't go to.
I am saying that the Saints that year made a Super Bowl appearance. I'm not saying they won. I'm not saying they beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl. I am saying the Saints won that game and went to the Super Bowl. Yes, in my world. Listen, first of all, since when are you guys the little defensive? Oh, somebody's saying something bad about my team. Since when is that how you guys roll?
We don't care if someone says something bad, but when you're really, really disrespectful and
where do you think McCarthy should be?
14, 15?
32.
How can he be behind Ron Rivera? How can he be behind Kevin O'Connell, Dan Campbell,
Arthur Smith?
Kevin O'Connell won 13 games last year.
And arguably the flukiest. Why are they dismantling their team? Why are they breaking it up? You know it was a fluke season.
Hold on a second. They won every close game. Do you think if Mike McCarthy was the head coach of the Minnesota Vikings last year, that they would have won 13 games and all those close games? No, you don't think that. You know they wouldn't have. So O'Connell's
he
only
lost to
coached 1
Daniel
year.
Jones in a playoff game at home.
Which is why Brian Daboll's 8. Do you think Mike McCarthy, if he were the coach of the Giants last year, would have gotten the Giants into the playoff and won a road playoff game? No chance.
Do you know who Cooper Rush? Do you know who Cooper Rush is? Did you forget Cooper Rush?
That's the best thing McCarthy has going for him. The most impressive thing to me that he's done as a coach is winning the games with the backup quarterbacks. That's the most. But by the way, even the 12 wins the last couple of years, it's mainly Kellen Moore and Dan Quinn. I mean, do you know the Cowboys? We talked about this on the Fantasy Feast podcast this week, which, by the way, everybody should subscribe and listen to.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know the Cowboys the last 4 years are second in the NFL in yards and points. And that includes the times that Dak has gotten hurt and Andy Dalton was out there, or Cooper Rush, or your boy DiNucci. Second in the NFL behind the Chiefs in both points and yards. Good thing you guys fired Kellen Moore. Good thing you guys got rid of that guy.
And McCarthy gets no credit for being a great head coach. Hands off, let Kellen do his thing.
Listen, in all sincerity, if you guys go through that list, I think all the way until like Saleh at 25, I would describe those guys as good coaches. Like, the Bills fans are destroying me. That's my favorite team I played for was the Bills.
As they should.
And they're killing me for having McDermott at 22.
How is McDermott at 22?
I'll tell you how. Who are the three best quarterbacks in the NFL right now?
Mahomes, Allen,
Burrow.
Okay, all right. So Mahomes has started for 6 years. They've gone to the AFC Championship game all 6 years. They've gone to 3 Super Bowls. They've won 2 of them. Joe Burrow has been healthy for 2 years. They've gone to 2 conference championship games and 1 Super Bowl. Josh Allen's been the starting quarterback for the Buffalo Bills for 5 years. They've gone to 1 conference championship game. 1. And then how about this? Remember let's talk about the playoffs with the Buffalo Bills. No. 2019, they're up by 18 points in the wild card game against the Houston Texans. They blow it. 2020, they go to Kansas City in the conference championship game. They had as much talent as the Chiefs that year. They get blown out of the water, not even close. The real kicker is 2021. They're winning the game with 13 seconds left. McDermott doesn't call a squib kick. He calls a touchback, kicks in the end zone. You call a squib kick to run some time off the clock. He blew it against the Chiefs in 21. And then, guys, I broadcast both of their 22 playoff games.
Well,
they barely beat Skylar Thompson, the Dolphins, 34-31. Skylar Thompson in Buffalo. And then I was on the sideline the next week when they played the Bengals. They got thoroughly outcoached. Joe Burrow knew where to go with the ball before he got the ball every snap. Josh Allen standing back there. It's in Buffalo, in the snow, in a playoff game, and they get annihilated. Look, coaching is doing what you have with the players you were given. Do I think Mike McCarthy would have won 7 games the last 2 years as the head coach of the Falcons each year? No, I don't. I think Arthur Smith. Do I think Arthur Smith would have won 12 games as the coach of the Cowboys the last 2 years? Yeah, I do. So that's why Arthur Smith is ranked ahead of McCarthy.
We're talking with Ross.
Look at win totals. Look at what these teams are supposed to win and what the coaches does on top of that.
We're talking with Ross Tucker here. Ross, first off, I just wanted to say I thought your ranking of McCarthy was fantastic.
God,
really spot on job there.
You're terrible.
Listen to me. By the way, he's a good coach.
Oh.
And you could put him at 16 or 18. Does it really make a difference? The point is he's not like a top 10, top 15 coach.
So
13 years he had a top 5 quarterback in Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers, and they went to 1 Super Bowl. 13. Brady goes every year. It's unbelievable.
Sean Payton did too, man. Breeze was top 5 in the league his entire time there until maybe like last year.
You know what's interesting about that?
That they're identical?
No. Well, first of all, I think Peyton went to 2 Super Bowls. We already talked about that part of it. But secondly,
was that the conference title game, by the way?
Against the Rams, yeah.
Yes, it was. Secondly, though, it's fair or not, I give Peyton more credit for how good Drew Brees became in that offense because I saw Drew Brees with the Chargers. Drew Brees was way better with Peyton in New Orleans than he was with what we saw when he was with the Chargers. Meanwhile, Aaron Rodgers, when he was with McCarthy, was really, really good, obviously. But then McCarthy leaves and the guy wins back-to-back MVPs. It's not a great look for McCarthy that Rodgers, had a total renaissance after he left.
So, Ross, when you look at you have Nick Sirianni, number 5, and McCarthy, 21. And I agree, I'm not the biggest McCarthy fan at all. But last year, Cowboys went 12-5. You think he did limited work with what he was dealt. So given that they were pretty close to the Eagles in record and point differential, but they had a top 5 coach and the Cowboys had a 21. Does that mean that coaching was the difference and the Cowboys actually have a better team than the Eagles?
So, well, first of all, Sean and RJ will tell you I only have Sirianni 5 because I'm a homer.
Pandering. You're
work for the
pandering.
Eagles,
You're
blah,
pandering.
blah, blah.
Hey, but you had Gannon and Steichen at the bottom of the list, so.
No, but that's because they haven't coached yet. I had the 3 first-time guys. I just put the last 3 spots because how do you judge a guy that hasn't coached yet? I judged every guy by what they've done with what they've had for how long they've done it. People forget, guys. Sirianni, okay, 2020, the Eagles won 4 games. And the owner fires Doug Peterson and comes out and says it's going to be a transition year. I mean, that's as close to an owner saying, like, a rebuild as anybody will say. They trade Wentz. They take $30 million of dead cap money, and they made the playoffs. And by the way, Hurts didn't even play that well at all. And midway through the year, they decided to just run Hurts. Nobody thought the Eagles were going to make the playoffs in 21. He actually did a better coaching job in 21 probably than he did this past year. This past year, the Eagles were loaded. But remember this, okay? Nobody said they were loaded before the year. When we talked last year, the Eagles' season win total was 9.5. So it's easy to look back on it now and say, oh, I could have coached that team with that roster. Nobody was saying that before the year. They were saying, oh, Jalen Hurts isn't that good. Eagles' season win total is 9.5. You could honestly do those rankings. Just look at what their season win total was before the year, and that's what that's the consensus of what people thought they would win and what they ended up actually doing. 2 years, Sirianni, very, very impressive. Now, they lost both coordinators, so we'll see. I mean, these rankings will change a decent amount next year as we have a whole other year to judge these guys. The other thing I would tell you guys, there's not as much of a difference. Like, I know the way it works, right? Like 21, oh my gosh. There's actually not as much of a difference between like the guy at 12 and the guy at 20. Like they're all pretty. It's the same thing where you talk about like talk about the quarterbacks in the AFC, right? Like if you actually rank the quarterbacks in the AFC, like Dolphins fans will go nuts because you'll say Tua is like the 7th or 8th best quarterback. Like what? Tua 7th or 8th? He could have been MVP. Like, yeah, but then you're like, okay, bro, we'll let Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers and Josh Allen and Burrow and Herbert. Like you start actually counting the guys, and Tua's not that high.
Oh, so your spin on it is we're just in an elite coaching league.
It's just never been better.
It's not like telling a girl you're kind of ugly, but hey, everyone else in the room is ugly too.
I honestly think that like even like 23, I think is Stefanski. I mean, that guy won a road playoff game with Baker Mayfield as the coach of the Browns. You know what I mean? Like I think Frank Reich at 20. I don't think Frank Reich's a terrible coach. Saleh is 25. He might actually be pretty good. We'll find out this year. The only guys I don't think are very good are like Todd Bowles, McDaniels. I mean, all these other guys, like I would look, if you're a bad coach, you probably got fired already, right? Like there aren't that many guys I think are bad coaches because if you're bad, you don't have a job anymore.
Man, they are our fan text is chanting "Toss the Ross," like get you out of here.
Toss the Ross.
That's what they want.
So this is fascinating to me. So have you brainwashed your listeners? Like, so they all think Kellen Moore was the problem and that McCarthy's like some great coach?
No.
Have you guys watched the playoff games the last couple of years? Like, did you guys watch the game 2 years ago against the Niners, Jimmy Garoppolo and the Niners? Or the playoff game this year, Brock Purdy and the Niners? Like, McCarthy's such a genius that you guys can't beat Jimmy G.
Yeah, because our quarterback is limited.
Yeah,
it's a quarterback problem.
He sure as heck can't be ahead of Kyle Shanahan, agreed?
No, I wouldn't put him ahead of Kyle Shanahan.
No. Exactly.
But, like, yeah, look,
give me more guys you think he's better than. No chance he wins that many games in Minnesota, so he can't be ahead of O'Connell. No chance he wins that many games in Atlanta, so he can't be ahead of Arthur Smith.
Ross, if you're judging it by 1 year, like you're doing Arthur Smith and the rest of these guys, then how's Belichick at 2? When are you going to start dropping Bill?
We can't without Tom.
I thought very hard. Yeah. I thought very hard about Belichick being lower than that. What I decided is I think Belichick is still an awesome coach. I think he's a really bad GM. Like, they don't have any talent. Like, watch. I mean, the Patriots have the least talent in the AFC. Belichick, the GM, is screwing Belichick, the coach. Belichick, the coach, is one of the 9 head coaches I had. And let me just tell you, he's a really good coach, like really good coach. But they have right now, they're going to get last in the AFC East. They have by far the worst players in that division. It's bananas.
Ross Tucker joining us on the home of the Cowboys here on 105.3.
I convinced everybody, by the way. Like, you guys ripped me yesterday,
yeah.
And now you should never have brought me on the show. Like, everybody driving in their car in the Metroplex is like, you know what? He's right. Just like he was right about Micah Parsons, just like he was right about everything else. Why do we even listen to Sean RJ? Why don't they just hire this guy to call in from Pennsylvania for 4 hours every day so we can actually hear the right stuff?
I liked your points, Ross. I thought they were
you.
great points, and I think you've nailed it on McCarthy.
I agree with you about Kellen Moore. We love to scapegoat people here in town. Like
that's exactly what you guys did. It's exactly what the organization did.
They did it with Garrett. They did it with Linehan. They do it all the time.
You guys think you're going to have a better offense this year? You're going to regret it. And by the way, wait till you see how much better the Chargers' offense is. You guys ran him out of town. Who led that charge, by the way? Was it the midday guys?
I mean, it was the head coach.
No, because you guys started to get that going in the media.
Oh, no, the whole city hated Kellen Moore. And we were kind of saying, guys, on paper, it's pretty damn impressive, pretty damn good. But the whole city.
How many games did Dak miss? And they still were second in yards and second in points over the last 4 years. You know how good that is? To behind only the Chiefs? You ever heard of them? They're pretty good. Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes,
Yeah.
They go to the Super Bowl every year.
All right, I think that's enough. I think we had it out. I respect you for taking the phone call and agreeing to come on, and I can't wait to revisit this in a year.
By the way, 2 quick things before I forget. Number 1, just posted, check out Ross Tucker Pod on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
I'll retweet it, but I just posted an epic story of when Parcells cut me.
Oh.
And then also make sure you listen to Ross Tucker Podcast. Like, everybody driving right now, if you want to get the right answers and you want to know what's going on in the NFL, make sure you download and listen to Ross Tucker Podcast
You were
every day.
so likable before today. You're so likable. But I'm sure you're loved in Philly, and that's what matters.
What did I say that's unlikable?
Everything.
He's a good coach. He's a fine football coach. It's so funny that you guys are at the stage now where, like, you're so happy about 12-win seasons. You're so happy about never going to even a conference championship game. What happened to the Cowboys that would go to the conference championship game every year with Landry and Jimmy Johnson and Switzer? What happened to the Cowboys that went to Super Bowls? You guys are like Cleveland now. You guys have lowered your expectations that you pat yourself and your coach on the back because you have a nice regular season. What's gotten into you Cowboys people?
Our standard is so high, we kick Kellen Moore out of town with the number 2 offense. That's how high our standard is.
So low, you think McCarthy's some, like, great coach.
No, just not 21. Just not 21.
15.
Okay, Grady, 17. Okay, I'll change it just for you. I'll put him ahead of Ron Rivera and Staley. He's 19.
Yeah, why is Ron Rivera better? Why is Ron Rivera?
America, when he renounced the kingdom of Bamunda or whatever, I am renouncing that McCarthy is 21. McCarthy is now 19. He's ahead of Rivera and Staley. I hope all of you guys can sleep better tonight.
Get him off. Get out. Ross Tucker, Odyssey NFL Insider. Hang up on him.